What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we're going to be talking about Blackout, which is the Battle Royale mode that's coming to COD Black Ops 4. I'm going to share everything we know about it so far, and I also just wanted to share my thoughts on whether or not I feel this can compete properly with other Battle Royale games on the market. More specifically, Fortnite, PUBG, and H1Z1 to a lesser extent. So first up, let's go over the things that we know so far about this. You can see the trailer playing in the background, so you can kind of see what it's generally going to look and feel like, although I'm sure almost all of this is just pre-rendered stuff. I wouldn't expect this sort of graphical fidelity, especially at the beginning part of this trailer. I wouldn't expect that within the actual gameplay itself. But what we know is it is going to be first person only. This was confirmed by Vandahar recently in an interview. There's going to be one map at launch, which means there could be room for expansion to other maps in the future. It is going to be playable at launch. There's been some people doubting whether or not it's going to be ready for launch and whether or not we're going to get it right at launch. It will in fact be playable at launch. And they also did mention that we're going to have character skins and weapons from previous Call of Duty games. As for the map size, several people in the community have done their own calculations on this. I did my own calculations, and pretty much everybody seems to be coming up with numbers that indicate that the map size is going to be somewhat similar to Fortnite's map, give or take a little bit. Another thing that was kind of teased by this trailer, although this isn't confirmed or anything at this point, is it looks like there were 140 players on this map. Now, whether or not we'll actually see 140 players when this launches, I'm not too sure about that. But at least from what they're showing here, it looks like they're trying to push 140 players on this map. I personally am not entirely convinced of this number. I would be very surprised if they even pushed 100 players with the way that Call of Duty works. But that's what they're teasing with this trailer. A couple other things we know so far is there will be land, sea, as well as air vehicles. And this teaser also seemed to hint at the fact that we're going to be seeing some sort of kill streak or score streak system. Now, we don't know whether that'll be something you have to earn in-game by going on a streak, or if you just find them like randomly in drops or something like that. But there was an RCXD, there was what appeared to be a Dragonfire, and also looked like possibly an attack chopper. Maybe you can fly this, maybe it's just something you call in, I'm not entirely sure. But it did seem to tease that there will be something like that going on. So those are all the main points with this Battle Royale mode that we either know and has been confirmed by them, or we can realistically gather just by looking at this teaser. Now I want to answer the question, do I think that this can compete reliably with other Battle Royale games on the market like Fortnite or PUBG? Personally, I think it can, to an extent at least. I don't think it's going to be stealing all the players away from Fortnite or PUBG by any means, but I think it can fill its own niche as long as they do things right. And I want to go over a list of the things that I feel this mode really needs to have, or I would really like to see at least, for this to become successful and actually carve its own niche within the Battle Royale market. The first and most important thing that I feel they really need to do with this is they need to be unique. They need something special that makes it a truly unique experience over the other Battle Royale games that have already established themselves on the market. Of course, I think they absolutely should learn from the other games. They should take certain elements from the other games because they simply work for Battle Royale. But there does have to be something that really sets them apart from PUBG as well as Fortnite. I think the first thing that's really going to set them apart from the other games is simply that Call of Duty feel. The way that your character moves and reacts to your inputs, nothing quite compares to the way Call of Duty handles that way. And this, for a lot of us, is why we don't branch out into other first-person shooters, or whenever we do, we always end up coming back to Call of Duty, because nothing feels quite as good as Call of Duty when it comes to actually controlling your character. Another thing that'll set them apart, but this could be either good or bad depending on your preference, is it is going to be first person only. For Battle Royale, I know a lot of people like that third person mode because you can peek around corners without actually having to peek around corners. And a lot of people feel like they're restricted, especially in their field of view, when they are playing first person. So that's something that could either hold them back, or it could set them apart and it could target an audience that likes that first person experience, but doesn't like how PUBG, for instance, feels within that first person mode. Now, the final thing that I'm thinking of at the moment that could really set them apart and make this a very unique Battle Royale experience that we haven't really seen before is the implementation of kill streaks or score streaks in some capacity. Now, if they do this, which like I said, that teaser seems to indicate they're going to do something like this, they have to be very careful with how they balance it. You only get one life in Battle Royale, and you simply can't have very powerful streaks. Like, how frustrating would it be that you've been surviving for the past like 10, 15, 20 minutes, you've got your one life and one life only, and then somebody calls in an attack chopper and it just melts you instantly off the map, and there's really not much you could have done to counter it. So obviously, if they do have some sort of score streak or kill streak type system, they simply can't be super powerful. They can't be the types of things that just instantly delete you off the map. I'm also thinking of like the RCXD, for instance, which they did tease in the trailer. They can't have this the same as they had it back in Black Ops 1, where you just drive it up to somebody and blow them up. Perhaps make it so it does only a limited amount of damage, so you can only really use it to either soften up an enemy before attacking them, or finish off an enemy you've already hit several times. Or even just make it so it's recon only, so you can't actually blow it up, but you can drive it around, and if you suspect an enemy is camping in a building or just hiding somewhere, you can use that to drive around, have a look in the area, see what's going on, and then you can use that information to attack later on. I really do think that kill streaks or score streaks could be a game changer that really separates them from the other games in a good way, but if it's not balanced properly, it could be disastrous to this game. So those are a few things that I think Blackout could do to really set themselves apart from the other games and carve out their own niche within the market. As for a bunch of other things that I would just like to see them do, some of this is borrowed from other Battle Royale games, and some of it is just me thinking about how Call of Duty could work in a Battle Royale setting. First up, the health and the shields I think needs to be increased pretty noticeably from what we're used to in Call of Duty. I find it very frustrating in Battle Royale games when you can just get like instantly melted by an assault rifle or an SMG or something like that, without really having time to react to the situation and get into a gunfight. With sniper rifles, I totally understand that. If you get picked off by a sniper rifle, too bad you got killed. But for the other guns in the game, assuming this is going to be like Call of Duty, which I assume it will be, we're likely going to have hit scan weapons that don't have bullet inaccuracy like Fortnite. Like Fortnite kind of keeps their time to kill in check, especially at ranges, because of the bloom. The fact that even if your dot is perfectly on target, if you're spamming shots, you're going to be missing shots like crazy. I don't think Call of Duty is going to have a bloom mechanic here, and therefore I think the health needs to be bumped up considerably from what we're used to. In addition to that, assuming we are going to have this hit scan system with perfect accuracy that we're used to in Call of Duty, they're really going to have to drop off those damage ranges at the extreme ranges, especially for like SMGs and assault rifles. If you have perfect accuracy with an assault rifle, you're not dealing with bullet drop, you're not dealing with leading targets because Call of Duty uses a hit scan system. You have to make it so at those extremely long ranges, you're not going to be dealing too much damage, and you're not going to be able to melt somebody really, really far away with an assault rifle. Speaking of those really long-range fights, sniper rifles. They have to be very careful with how they balance sniper rifles in this. I really think they have to go with a projectile system where there's bullet drop as well as bullet travel time, so you have to actually lead targets and everything like that. Because having a hit-scan sniper rifle, like we've always seen in Call of Duty, that seems to me like it would be way too powerful in a Battle Royale mode. I think they can pull this off, and I honestly think they will pull this off, where they make everything else hit scan, but they make the snipers have a projectile-based system. But we'll just have to wait and see on that one. As for general performance, I think they really need to hit at least like 70 to 75 players in a match. I know, like I said earlier, it looks like they were hinting at 140. I don't feel like that's going to be realistic. Maybe it is though, I don't know. In either case, I think they need like a bare minimum of like 70 to 75 players on that map, assuming it is going to be similar in size to the Fortnite map. And they did mention they are going to be aiming for that 60 FPS target that we're used to with Call of Duty, so I really hope they can pull that off as well. There's going to have to be a lot of changes made. They're essentially going to have to build a new engine or branch an engine off of an earlier iteration of the engine, I believe. So we're not likely to see the same sort of graphics we'll see in Black Ops 4 regular multiplayer, not even close. I'm more worried about performance though than I am graphics in this game. Another thing relating to performance is field of view. It's going to be interesting to see what the field of view is going to be like because we are going to be locked to that first-person view, and if you have a very narrow field of vision in a Battle Royale game where you're like in a big open world environment, that can be very difficult to deal with at times. As for the final thing I wanted to talk about here that I feel could really make or break this mode, how will they be monetizing it? I think it's pretty obvious there's going to be some way for them to monetize this, especially since it looks like we aren't getting a season pass for the map packs. So I'm pretty confident they will be monetizing it in some way, but what direction are they going to take with this? Player skins aren't going to be nearly as valuable if you're in a first-person view all the time because you're not going to be able to see your skins, unlike Fortnite where you constantly are looking at your own character, which makes those skins a lot more valuable because it actually makes sense to spend money on something that you personally can see and not just what other people can see from you. So are they going to put the focus on like weapon variants or on like weapon camos? I feel like that's the direction they're going to have to take. Maybe even vehicle skins. H1Z1 does this, where the vehicles have kind of like a default skin, but the moment you get into that vehicle, it reskins to suit whatever skin you own and you have equipped on your account. They could do something along those lines, but my big concern with this, and something that could truly break this mode, is if they have stat changed items that are either in supply drops or you have to purchase directly in-game. In a Battle Royale experience, this would be completely unacceptable. Everybody has to go into that game on a level playing field, and it has to play out from there. Anything out of loot boxes or any microtransactions that are stat changed would immediately destroy this game mode, in my opinion. So at least for Blackout, at least for the Battle Royale mode, they have to keep any sort of microtransactions or loot boxes 100% cosmetic only. No exceptions. As for how they handle this, I'd prefer if they just basically followed Fortnite's model. I'm somebody that's completely unwilling to spend a dime on any sort of a supply drop or a loot box. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'm not gambling my money in a video game. If, however, they offer a skin that just really appeals to me and it totally fits me and my personality and I just want that skin, whether that be a weapon camo, a weapon variant, a vehicle variant, or a player skin, if they offer that up for a price of like $5, $10, even $20 like Fortnite does, every once in a while, yeah, I'm willing to throw a little bit of money at that because I know what I'm getting out of my money, and I'm personally totally fine with that. And there are a lot of other people that are exactly like me in that sense. They won't spend a dime on supply drops, but if you give them a direct way to purchase something that just suits them perfectly, tons of people will spend money, and Fortnite is a perfect example of this. They have been so successful with their model, and I think there'd be no shame in Call of Duty emulating that model. I realize that Fortnite is a free-to-play game though, and that's the big difference here. You do have to pay to get Black Ops 4 in order to get access to Blackout. So I think things would need to be adjusted accordingly there, but at least within Battle Royale, it has to remain cosmetic only, and I really hope it's not loot boxes either. I think they can be just as successful, if not more successful, if they get away from the loot box model and they stick to straight-up direct microtransaction sales. Now, there's no doubt in my mind that they're going with a loot box system for regular multiplayer, and they're going to have stat changed guns and stuff in supply drops. That's going to happen, and whatever. I just hope they go with a model that's similar to like COD World War II, where there are also direct ways to earn it. But they have to keep that stuff away from Battle Royale if they want to remain competitive with the other Battle Royale games. And with that, we're going to wrap up today's video. I'd love to know in the comment section below, first off, do you think that Call of Duty can reasonably compete with the other Battle Royale games on the market? Like I said, not necessarily like destroy them and pull all the players away from Fortnite and PUBG, but do you think Call of Duty could find their place within the Battle Royale market with this Blackout mode? And second, what steps do you feel they would have to take to make sure that they are successful with this? What do they need to be successful in the Battle Royale market? If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.